Hey, this is Marcio, and today I'm going to teach you about some Shopify SEO tips, the same tips that I used to increase organic traffic to Shopify store by over 20%. And I was able to do that without any expensive tools, without creating any content, which means that you can do it as well. So, uh, this is going to include some over-the-shoulder video that takes you into in depth with all the steps that I use that you can implement as well. So there is a blog post that accompanies this video, but the video will is a lot easier to go through. You can follow it along at your leisure. You can pause it, rewind it, and you'll see exactly where I'm clicking and what I'm doing to implement these tips. So as you can see, I'm on the blog post right now, and as you've probably noticed, the name of this technique is called the shopscaping technique. Now, before I get into the technique itself, I want to show you some of the results that I was able to get by using it. So as you can see here, within 14 days, about 2 weeks or so, I saw a slight bump in organic traffic sessions of 7.25, so not too shabby. Again, without creating any content and without using any expensive tools. And within 60 days, we saw close to 25%, so 24.3% increase in organic traffic after implementing these tips. And then lastly, we saw that the overall site traffic increased by over 35%. So these are some pretty good numbers, especially because the way that you're going to achieve this, it's really easy. It's really straightforward. As long as you know what you're doing, and you will, because I'm going to guide you, you're going to see results. Okay, so I mean, your results may vary. Maybe you get more, maybe you get less. It depends on how big your store is and what the overall health is of your store. But I don't want to bog you down with too many of those details. I really just want to jump right in to help you get the results. So the shopscaping technique is all about making your store look better and making it look better in the eyes of Google and obviously of your users. Now, a lot of the times as an entrepreneur, you're listening to videos, you're reading blog posts, and one thing that's probably coming to mind is, man, I need to add more things to my store, or I need to add this and I need to add that. But in the shopscaping technique, really what it's all about is removing some of the dead weight and some of the things that are bogging you down. So the first step here is we're going to make sure, so these are actually, let me just say that these are the 3 steps to the shopscaping technique. Step 1 is we want to make sure that the pop-ups aren't a nuisance on your website. Step 2, we want to make sure that Google is crawling the right number of sites. This will help us reduce any duplicate content. We'll do that in Google Search Console. Step 3, we want to add some bling to your search results, aka star ratings. And we can do this with a really cool free Shopify app. So this makes it even more exciting. I love free tools, especially the free tools that give you value and that can really move the needle for you. And this is definitely one of them. And so stay tuned so you can see exactly which app that is. Okay, so let me skip through and we're going to jump right into step number 1. And step number 1 is we're going to tweak your pop-ups so they don't piss off Google and your users. So how do we do that? First off, you want to log into Shopify. And so I've logged into the Shopify store right here. Next, I'm going to click on apps. And here I don't have a pop-up app installed yet. So I'm going to go ahead and install one. You can see what that looks like. And if you don't have one installed, then you can go ahead and do that. So the basic one we're going to use is this free, easy pop-up. Simply click add. The great thing about Shopify is you don't have to worry about adding apps to your store. All of them have to be approved. Their code is reviewed. And if it only gets approved and uploaded to the App Store if it's safe for Shopify stores. So you don't have to worry about any of that as you would with the WordPress store. So here I'm going to create a quick little pop-up. Join our newsletter. Awesome. That's what it's going to look like. Next. And then we'll go ahead and add that to the website. Let's just say I've added it. Okay. Next thing we want to do is once you've let's just call this, sorry, annoying pop-up, right? So let's say that you have a pop-up and it's annoying, and by annoying I mean that it pops up as soon as a user arrives on your website. So several months ago, actually over a year ago, Google released a new update to their algorithm and said that the pop-ups would be penalized if, or websites with pop-ups would be penalized if they caused a poor user experience to humans visiting the page. And one way to get around, and so a lot of pages, a lot of websites have been penalized by that. They've been losing search traffic, they've been bumped down, and they have no idea why. Well, one of the basic things that you can do is make sure that your pop-ups aren't annoying people. And so one way you can do that is go into the display options. Now, your pop-up app may look different than this, but just keep an eye out for these type of settings, and you can make the necessary adjustments. So usually this is the basic setup. Whenever you install a pop-up, it's going to be displayed immediately, and we do not want to use that option. So what I recommend is you use the second option. So it's when visitors start to leave. And so basically how it works is, I'm sure you've seen this before, somebody's on the website, and as soon as you go to leave, either you're going up and to the left with your mouse or up and to the right, then the pop-up gets displayed, right? And so in those cases, that is fine for Google. Google won't get too angry with you, and your user also, he won't get bothered or she won't get bothered. So I recommend you either do when visitor starts to leave, or you set it to after a delay. And for the delay, I would set this to a longer delay. So I would set this to either something like, let's see how, I guess we have to slide this across. I would set this to 20 seconds or 30 seconds. And so just simply slide this across, and then I would click save. Click next, and we're done. So I'm just going to assume here that I've already added this pop-up to the store, and that right there, that's step number one, right? So that's what I did when I optimized the website for this client, which was the Candy Fun House, and that's step number one. So let's head back to the article. That's exactly what I did. So I just walk you through these steps. As you can see, they're super easy to do, and you're done. So the next step is to tell Google you have a Shopify store. And so what I mean by that is, as soon as you add, if you're familiar at all with Google Search Console, if you're not, you should be. Google Search Console is a free portal that Google provides to any website owner, and this is the closest thing you can get to having a direct link with Google in terms of getting organic traffic information for your website. As you may know, the ranking algorithms and why websites rank where they are and how that all happens, all that magic, it's still somewhat unknown. Now, SEO experts, they conduct a lot of tests, and they use a lot of anecdotal data, and they read between the lines whenever there's an interview with Google experts. And throughout the years, they've been able to narrow down through trial and error and through different tests what things they can change and what things they can tweak to make their websites rank higher. But having this tool, it's free. It's a free tool, Google Search Console. By setting up your site in Google Search Console, you will have a direct link with Google, so that if they penalize your website, or if you see a drop, or if there is a drop or an increase in organic traffic to your site, you can be in the know by having an account on here and having your website registered on there. So you'll be able to see the search traffic, and it's really good. They can send you messages. For example, if you have duplicate content, or if there's some kind of server error, you can get notifications in there. Now, server errors aren't really a thing in Shopify, though they do happen sometimes, but it's not really a thing that you have to worry about. So what we're going to do is we're going to go inside Google Search Console, and then we're going to configure it in a way to make sure that Google knows that, hey, this isn't a WordPress site, this isn't just a blog, it's specifically a Shopify store. And we're going to do that by setting up what is known as URL parameters. So in case you're wondering, URL parameters, so let's jump over to Candy Funhouse, because that's the website that I optimized for this. And I'm going to show you what these URL parameters look like. So let me make this a little bit smaller because you can't see the URL parameters right now. Okay, and so if I click on bulk, let's say I'm going to filter this content to bulk, and then I want to see content to purple. Actually, rather, how about we do something like blue. Okay, so in the URL now, you'll see this little question mark, and then you'll see the letter Q. This Q is a URL parameter. And so what this is doing is it's accessing the website, and then it's saying, hey, Shopify, please only show me things that have blue raspberry. That's what I put in here. And this is the URL parameter that we want to ignore. Now, the thing is that we want to tell Google not to index these search pages, the ones that have the Q in the URL parameter, because this content can be displayed on other pages. For example, the blueberry raspberry kisses and this description and the prices is already visible on this page, which is the product page, right? And if I go to the category, if this belongs to a category, then it would also be on the category page. So if I go to the gourmand candies, there you see the same content is there again. So we have it listed here under this URL. Then we have it under the product page that I showed you, and then we also have it on the search result page. And we know that for sure these search result pages are not original because they're just pulling data from the products that are already in your store. So I hope I'm not confusing you, but I just want to give you, explain what the heck these URL parameters are and why we're doing this configuration. So let's jump back into Google Search Console. And this is the link right here, search.google, and I've linked it in the blog post as well. And if you don't have to remember this, you can just type in Google Search Console into search and you'll find it. Let me make this screen larger. And one thing you want to do here, as soon as you get into Google Search Console, it's going to ask you to choose the property that you want to work on. And for this one, I only have one property set up in this account. And the first thing you're going to do is you're going to click on the bottom left-hand side where it says go to the old version. And you'll know you're in the old version because it looks completely different. It has this white background. It looks much older. And so that's where we want to be. Next, we're going to click on crawl and then URL parameters. In here, all we're going to do is click on add parameter. And from here, you're going to enter all the parameters. We can start with Q. And we're going to start entering them here. So we're going to do the letter Q. We're going to say that yes, changes, reorders, or narrows page content. Okay. And then we're going to select other. And here we can tell it to either let Google decide, or we can say no URLs. Then click save. And you'll see that the new parameter has been added here. Next, we can just repeat this for the other URL parameters that are also outlined in the blog post. The next one is page. So this one is to paginate. And let's do no URLs. The next one is, so we have parameters, add parameter, sort by. Yes, we want to do the sort by. And this one is pretty simple, sort by this one sorts. Cool. The next one we want to do tagged. We're going to do the tagged parameter. This can appear in either your blog posts. This specifies content. And I think there's just one more that we want to do. Tagged, queued, and view. Yeah, so the view parameter changes the way content is displayed. So that can change it, for example, if it's just in a list or if it's in a grid. Just click Other, and you can click No URLs. And there you have it. So those are the URL parameters that we want to set up. And you can see that in the tutorial there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And these are the 5 URL parameters you wanted to set up. And that's step number 2. So Google Search Console, it can be scary. It can look like a big hairy monster that you don't want to face. It may look, really technical and scary and all that, but you don't have to worry. This is how you want to have your URL parameter set up. And once you're done that, we can skip over to step number 3. And this last step is really cool. It's really easy, and by doing this, it can add some really cool star ratings to your search results. And so these star ratings are these little stars that I'm mentioning here. It can also tell you the average rating and the number of reviews that this product or any products on your store have received. And as you can see here, if you compare with this listing that has star ratings against these 2 listings that do not have star ratings, I'm sure you can see that this listing, it really pops, it really jumps out. It makes a big difference between these other results, right? So how do we do that? We're going to add an app to your Shopify store called Judge Me. And so to do that, jump back into your Shopify store. You've logged in, then you click on apps. Then we're going to visit the Shopify store app store, and then we're going to search for Judge Me. I already have it in here. You can click add. And then once you approve this, the installation process is really easy. I really like how easy it is to set this up. Let me go ahead and close these tabs. Okay, so as soon as you install it, they have this onboarding experience, and you can go ahead and click on the recommended settings. Okay, once you click on that, this text will highlight, and they'll let you know that their theme concierge will install the necessary code into your Shopify theme. So you don't even have to go into your Shopify theme files and change those, which is really cool. We're going to click on Save Settings and go to Next. And here, they've already enabled these, and you can leave them enabled so that the review badges, they get installed on collection pages, your home page, and on product pages. Now, if you do want to install it yourself, you can just click here. This is also pretty easy, but you don't even need to do that because they have a concierge that will do it for you. So I advise you, if you don't feel comfortable, no problem at all. Their concierge is really responsive. Their team is really good, and you can just leave it as is. So you don't even need to do the instructions if you don't want to. So let's click on Save Settings and Next. Okay, now we're going to click up here where it says Settings, and then we'll click on SEO. And here you just want to make sure that these rich snippets on all review pages are enabled, which it already is. I'm going to go back to installation and preview badge just to make sure that these settings are already enabled, and they are. Okay, as a basic setup, that's all you need to have the star rating review badges, the reviews, be added to your store. Now, one word of caution is that the star reviews, they do not happen automatically. They are only displayed when Google wants to display them. And it depends on, I don't really know what it depends on, whether it's your site health or whether it's your competition. But I know that for this client, for example, I installed it and it took maybe 6 weeks for the badges to appear. But it was basically a waiting game. Once after I installed it, I kind of just had to wait, and then later they started to appear. And so now, when I go to Google and I search for that store, then I can see the star ratings appearing for some of their products. So that is the last step in the tutorial. I've walked you through each step that you need to do. As you can see, it's really straightforward. Oh, the last step here is once you've enabled the app, the Judge Me app, keep an eye on your email, because what will happen is they'll send you an email letting you know that, hey, we've updated your theme for the store name that you have, and they'll confirm exactly where they've added the code for you. So that's it. These are the tips that you need to use the Shopify shopscaping technique. It's a mixture of landscaping and for your Shopify store, and cutting out any of the stuff that's bogging you down, and freshening up your site a little bit to make it pop and make it attractive to Google and your users. I hope you enjoyed it. If you have any comments or feedback, please let me know, and I'll talk to you later. Bye-bye.